Minecraft SMP, would you be willing to give someone else server operator? Well, this was one of my main goals, as it meant that I would be able to do absolutely anything I wanted. But first I had to convince Tam, the SMP owner, to give me creative. Except usually this would be a very difficult task to complete, but surprisingly all I had to do was ask for it. Now with my newfound power, the very first thing I decided to do was build a house. Now that's perfectly innocent, right? Well, no, not exactly. This was part of my plan to subconsciously convince Tam that I can be trusted, which somehow seemed to work. After a few more minutes had gone by, I checked to see if I had operator, but unfortunately, I did not. So the most logical thing that I could think of doing was to just ask her, "Hey Tam, can I have op?" Luckily for me, she just handed it over without any hesitation. Now this is where the downfall of the server started, as I decided to give myself a command block. And as many of you probably know, command blocks allow you to do almost anything you could possibly think of. From blowing up the world in seconds to giving everyone infinite pickaxes, command blocks give you the power to heal or harm others. But I didn't join the server to make it become a place of wonders. I joined this SMP to destroy it. So for my first command, I did /summon Minecraft B. Now if this happened once, it would be completely fine. However, I changed the command block status to repeat and no redstone needed. This means that every 1 second, about 35 bees spawn, and after a minute, that's 2,000 bees more than the average entity spawn rate. Now if you don't have a good computer, it's very likely your game is either going to crash or become severely laggy. Fortunately for me, this isn't a personal issue, but for many other players on the server it is. But at this current moment, no one was even near my house, and convincing everyone individually to come over would prove to be very time consuming. So to combat this, I teleported a few of the players inside and waited for the complaints to begin.
What is going on in here?
I'm just being moved around.
Eliminate fears!
But after a few minutes of annoying the players, I realised that I could take this a step further. So I released the bees out into the world to cause as much lag as possible. Now Tam was very dissatisfied with the laggy SMP and thought that an adequate solution would be to type /kill at E, which is all entities. Now it worked. For a second or two, but then the bees continued to fill up the server once more. So she decided the best solution was to do the command again, which to no surprise didn't work. Now this cycle continued until someone finally informed her that it was in fact a command block causing all these bees. But since my original plan had failed, I made the decision to move on to another. This involved summoning a heap of ender dragons and a few withers. Now if you know me at all, you know that I couldn't just leave it as plain as that. So to increase the fear, I added a few end crystals around the place so that the ender dragon could heal itself. Not only that, but I also blew up the players using those same end crystals. So far the SMP was barely ruined at all, but this is when Tam made the fatal mistake of leaving the server to go do something else. This meant that me and the other appointed operator Cyan could do whatever we wanted without any supervision or consequences. Without hesitation, we immediately got TNT and placed it absolutely everywhere. The surface, the ground, the sky, you name it, we placed it. But as we were in the middle of filling the land with explosives, we were rudely interrupted by the wither. It blew up the TNT before either of us got a chance to do it ourselves. But even with this inconvenience, the server was still heavily destroyed regardless. So for my next idea, I placed a command block on the ground which made TNT continuously explode in the exact same spot. This gives the illusion that there is a circle of grey particles, but the moment you step inside it instantly kills you. As I was about to move on to the next disaster, Tam came back and was not happy at all. But I mean, what reason is there to be upset? Because wouldn't you be filled with joy at the sight of your destroyed server? Well, Tam wasn't. She killed me and Cyan to get out her rage. Surprisingly though, she still hadn't de-opped us. Even so, I was dissatisfied with the current state of the server, as I knew that it could become far worse. The only issue now is that Tam is here watching us. So I made the very risky decision to de-op her and hope that I wouldn't get banned. And when she finally realised, let me tell you, she was mad.
Ryan, did you un-op me?
No.
What the I have been turned against!
Since that issue was now out of the way, I continued my reign as server operator and dug random holes down to bedrock. Once that was done, I then started filling them with TNT, but for some reason, the players jumped in the hole, so I was left with only two choices to make, which was to blow up the players or leave them there to starve. But I didn't have all day to wait, So I made the easy decision to explode them. Everything seemed to be going very well for me, but then suddenly, my game mode was set to survival and I was de-opt. I did a little bit of investigating and discovered that it was my friend Cyan who did it. The same Cyan that was helping me destroy the server. I was extremely surprised at this discovery, but I knew that I would be able to strike a successful deal with him. I did this unknowingly by just standing on a block of TNT. But after all, I had acquired op again, so I was able to continue my wreak of havoc all across the land. Except this time, I decided to prank the real server owner. Now what is this prank, you may ask? Well, I built her a nice, comfortable, explodable house. And after a short while of building, the house was completed. That meant all that was left to do was teleport Tam inside. But for some reason, I don't think she really liked it. It's almost like she wasn't too fond of death.
What the?
Oh, what do you think of your house?
It's not even a house.
But whilst Tam was busy dealing with me, Cyan placed over 3,000 blocks of TNT, which made an enormous explosion across the world. Tam didn't seem to be as impressed as I was. Honestly, it kind of seemed like her last straw, because after this, she desperately wanted op again. Now you're probably thinking, there's no way she can get op. Me and Cyan are the only ones that have op. Well, you're wrong. To get op, she went into the server console itself and changed the settings so that she could be an operator again. However, whilst in the settings, she de-opt me and Cyan and also put us into adventure mode. And so for those who don't know, once you are in this game mode, you can no longer place or break blocks. But the one flaw to this is that you are able to hit entities, meaning we could still fight each other. So naturally, we did.
Why is everyone punching each other?
I got him.
At this point, I was becoming very unhappy with my current status, so I made the difficult conclusion to very politely ask for operator back.
Hi, Tam. Can I have operator back?
Why?
It's probably no surprise that it didn't work. But did you also notice that bedrock box she was building behind her? Well, you can probably guess what happened next.
This is your home.
Oh boy.
Lovely house we have here.
Yeah, indeed.
Now, when you are wrongly imprisoned, you would obviously want to try your best to escape. But the only way you can leave is with some sort of escape plan. So the plan that I came up with is that Cyan would kill me, and then I would come back and kill him. Now, just as the plan was commencing, Tam placed a block of glass, which instantly stopped our plan. Tam then continued to place glass around the entire box, but I somehow convinced her to leave the top opened. This action may seem very insignificant, but will become essential later on.
But now we can't even see each other. That's so mean. Isolating us like this.
Oh, if you want to talk to each other, that's okay.
But as if being in jail wasn't bad enough, Tam invited the other players to come and look at us like we're some sort of zoo animal. And because of this, I had to use the tourists to my advantage to be able to escape. So my new plan was to make them do one of three things. Number 1, place a bed slightly above the box and wait until night and then sleep. Number 2, place a boat above the hole and row away. Or number 3, have one of them kill me, so I'll respawn somewhere else. Luckily for me, the tourists silently agreed to plan 3, and I was finally set free.
Yeah, about time you got me out.
Yay! Yay!
Now, even though I was still free from jail, I was still trapped in adventure mode, so I quickly became very bored with the outside world and decided to go back to visit the prison. Whilst I was there, I offered Tam a business proposal.
If I did give you 5 bits, will you give me op again?
You're not sure.
Surprisingly, she actually agreed to this, so I was very quick to give her the bits. And as promised, I got my operator back. Now this time, instead of going back to the classic explosions, I was still honestly feeling a little betrayed by the fact Cyan de-opt me earlier in the video. So the first thing I did was put him in a fully enclosed barrier block prison. After this, I was continuing my business and deciding what to do next, when these two randomly said this.
Me and Jaden have been locked in jail for so very long that we want to get married, and we were hoping that you would wed us.
So a wedding was now taking place. So I put aside my mischief behavior and became a flower girl.
Hell yeah.
Just let the music play out.
However, they didn't really appreciate one of the flower choices.
Like I would just got like all these nice flowers, then dead coral.
Well, I mean, just in case you ever
Brain
consider
coral.
getting divorced, you know?
But the wedding continued, and I had the sudden urge to add a beautiful water feature on the roof. And so I did. But after it was built, I made the realization that it was too pretty. So I replaced it with lava during the ceremony. But eventually, the wedding concluded, and they finally acknowledged the wall of lava.
How the f do we get out?
You don't.
But unluckily for them, they were now trapped in here for all eternity. But if there's one lesson that you should learn from this, never trust others with Operator. No matter if they're friends, strangers, no one can be trusted. But if you did enjoy the video, subscribing would really help me out a lot.